Hi there. In this tutorial, we will cover another React key concept called list or array. Let's see how can we create this type of array from this type of output from instead of hard coding we will use an array to access this list. Let's see how can we do that. If we know that we can loop through this array, but if we try to use for loop in our JSX element, then it will throw error because JSX element cannot use any block level component. So how do we do that? For that we will use array built-in method like map, for each, or filter or similar things. So let's see how can we consume this array with our map method. So for that I have to, we do no need two, we actually need only one. So items dot map, item return this line. Now I have to replace the hard coded one with item. If I save my file, I can see the same output appears here, but in the meantime in our console it throws an error that child in a list should have a unique key. That means every child component need a property called key. So I have to put a key property. Key is equal to something. So what will be the value of the key? I can put the item value. So if I save my file, if I refresh my page, I can see the error is gone. So if this is okay, but what happens if in my list has another duplicate? Because we know in our warning we says that key property must be unique. So let's try another one. That means we have duplicate value in my array. So if I save my file, I can see my outputs appears, but it throw another warning that that child method key property must be unique, but I have duplicate key property. So this method is not works anymore. So it is a bad practice that many people use index as a key. We know that map method has 3 arguments and second one is index, or I can say that as a key. So let's apply their key. If I save my file, if I refresh my page, I can see the warning error message is gone. But it is a bad practice because it actually lose or destroy the whole philosophy of the React. For that we have to understand how the React component be created by the virtual DOM. Virtual DOM create every component. It says that it has 3 property. So virtual DOM create 3 property and later enter the value for every element. So if we create we try to apply the key value as a index value as a key property value, then our whole React core concept loses, because when we try to update this array, then our index value also will be modified. Suppose I try to insert another value before our one item. That means it replace the 2 and 3 index value, because index value will be index value generated by the array automatically. That means it always will be 1 2 3 this way, but if we try if we create another value like this way, it will be fourth value, but we create that value before here. So instead of 4, it will create the index 1, and this one will be created as a 4. So that is the reason we do not use the key property as a index property. So for that, if we try to consume any list that comes from the database, then that value always have a index property or a ID by default. But if we do not have this type of array, if we have this type of array that do not has the key property, then how do we solve this problem? For that, we JavaScript has another unique property. For that, I have to use crypto.random UID. If I save my file, I can see a crypto module. It is already built in with browser. So when we use the crypto random UID, it generates a unique ID. So we can use this unique ID instead of the index value of a array. So I can remove this key. Instead of this one, I have to use the crypto.random UID. If I save my file, it solved our problem. So there has no errors. That means when we do not have any index or any key, we should not use the index as a key value. Instead, use the crypto module to generate the random UID. So it is a single array. Let's see how can we consume this array. So for that, actually let's comment out this line has no problem. Now let's consume our user for same UL, and this time users map. It will be user, and we know that user is an object. That means this user is this object. So to access our element, I have to use user.name, and if we wrap this name with li element, this way, and again we have to put a index key. So key as a index. So this time user has a user ID, so we no need crypto random ID. So I can use user.id. If I save my file, I can see I am consuming. Actually instead of a variable, I am assigning the text, so I have to put this text as a variable. So if I save my file, I can see I am consuming my array or more accurately array object. Why I am using array object? Because most of the time we face this type of array object to consume. And another way, let's see many times we have an array, so we cannot loop that array, just we need for debugging purpose. So for that, we can pin this array object here, like user. We cannot do that because, sorry, actually not user, it users. We cannot do that. If we save my file, it will throw error because it is an object. Array is object in JavaScript. So it is an array object. So JSX cannot parse object. So I have to convert this object into string. So JSON.stringify method convert this array into object into string. So if I save my file, I can see my output appears, but this output is not user friendly. So let's make this output little bit pretty. Stringify method has 3 arguments. One is null and third argument is the space. That means how many space we need to show. I apply 2 space, so my output appears very nicely. So this is how can we access DOM in our map method, and we always need a unique key to consume our map. If we do not have user ID, we can use the crypto random UUID method instead of a regular index key. So never ever use the index key in a key value, but we can use key value as an index key in three situations. For example, if my array list is a static list, that means this type of static list, and it do not changes anymore. So if we have this type of situation, we can use the index key without any problem. But if this array is modified or sorted, then we cannot use the index key, because if we use index key, then when we update any one, then our whole array will be updated or modified. But in React, we only need to update in a particular one. So we do not need to render whole array or whole list item. It is a single or a small 3 item in a list. But what happens if we have 100 or 1000 list in our 1000 items in our list? Then it will re-render entire list component, and that will consume lot of process. So this is for optimization. So let's talk another topic in our next tutorial.